Thank you all. Sorry to be abrupt, would you please sit down, but it got the message through. Just being now after 6 o'clock, I declare the 145th Annual General Meeting of the South Australian Cricket Association open. We would like to acknowledge this land that we meet on today as the traditional lands for the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the custodians of the Adelaide Plains and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Kaurna people today. As is the custom, I'd like to introduce the board, especially for the new members in amongst the audience. On my left, and to the left of Keith Bradshaw, is Robert Hill-Smith, as SACA Vice President, Member of Finance and Audit and High Performance Advisory Committee. On Robert's left, Sally Neas, Chairperson of the Game Development Advisory Committee and Member of Membership Advisory and Adelaide Strikers Committee. Next left is Andrew Hilditch, Chairman of the High Performance Advisory Committee and Member of the Membership Advisory Committee. Then Rod Phillips, Chair of the Adelaide Strikers Committee and a member of the Grade Cricket Committee. And far left, Adrian O'Day, who joined the board this year in a casual vacancy position. On my right, immediately on my right, Andrea Slattery, Chair of the Membership Advisory, Honorary Nominations and Naming Committee. Dean Marsh, Chair of the Finance and Audit Committee, as well as a member of the Honorary Nominations Committee. Then we have Bob Snewen, Chair of the Grade Cricket Committee, and finally Carolyn Rhodes, who joined the board this year, also filling casual vacancy. We have an apology from Nathan Adcock. The board, supported by a talented executive team, firstly Keith Bradshaw, the Chief Executive, and then I'll ask the others to stand when I go through them. Andrew Sweet, Chief Financial Officer. Craig Brooks, General Manager Business Services. Tim Nielsen, General Manager High Performance. Bronwyn Clyde, General Manager Commercial Events and Adelaide Strikers. Grant Warland, General Manager Membership, Marketing and Communications. Shane Bernhardt, General Manager Cricket Operations. And finally, Ben Page, who's joined us this year as our Public Policy and Government Relations Manager. We also welcome SACA's solicitor, Jeremy Schultz from Finlayson's, as well as Ken Dyer from Corp Vote, who will be assisting with the ballot this evening. I'll now read the apologies. I've got Harry Ainsley, Dr. Michael Llewellyn-Smith, John Williams, Jack Clark, Dennis Bryan, Peter Lovelace, Neil Henderson, Sam Parkinson and Erica Neas. Do we have any other apologies from the floor? No? Thank you. Item 2, I now report that the minutes of the 144th Annual General Meeting held on Monday the 28th of September 2015 at 6 p.m. were confirmed at the SACA Board of Management meeting held on Monday 26 October 2015. Copies of these minutes were published on the SACA website, were on display in SACA offices and are available at the entrance near the registration area. I ask those present via the raising of their voting cards to provide their confirmation of the minutes of the 144th Annual General Meeting. Can you please raise the cards? And therefore, enough of them to be comfortable that motion has passed. Thank you. We now move to item 4, where I present the SACA Annual Report for 2015-16 for adoption. Before formally presenting the report, I have a few comments to make, and then it would be timely for us to hear from Keith. It's my intention today to share some important issues and strategic focuses for the Association before our Chief Executive, Keith, outlines some operational highlights and successes from 2015-16. Keith does, in fact, have the pleasure to report on what was a magnificent year of cricket. And without stealing his thunder, a couple of things that we witnessed. The historic day-night test match under lights. It's important to remember there will never be another first ever day-night test match, and it was held here at the Adelaide Oval. The performance of our men's and women's programs, delivering a championship and 2 finals, as well as record numbers of people playing cricket in this state. I also want to thank the members who voted recently at the election. The issue therefore of boards and matching the skill set of boards and also the actual structure is part of the governance aspects that we are looking at. How do we balance the members voting on a board versus getting the right skill set? We were very selective in choosing Carolyn Rhodes to my right and Adrian O'Day on my left. It was not at a drop of a coin, it was very much selective as to the skill set the board felt that we were missing. To then have an election is a very good thing and appropriate, but we need to balance that. So I just want to make you aware that these are issues that we're considering, and contrary to a recent press article, we do not have 50% of our board members are lawyers. There are 3, myself, Andrew Hilditch and Nathan Adcock. 3 out of 11, when I did my last maths, was not 50%. We have a decent skill set and a very balanced board that, in my view, is striving to do whatever is best for the South Australian Cricket Association. But it is an issue that we're grappling with board processes and nomination. Premier Cricket. In June 2016, we confirmed that the West Torrens District Cricket Club and Port Adelaide Cricket Club have been granted additional time to work through merger discussions. As a result, both clubs have been advised they will compete in the West End Premier Grade First Grade competition for 16-17. The SACA board had previously communicated to these 2 clubs that its preferred position is for them to merge. Therefore, the board expects to see genuine efforts in that regard. In my view, it's a duty of the SACA to provide a premier competition that most effectively provides Sheffield Shield quality players. This is one of a number of reasons that we look to provide a 12-team premier competition commencing in 2017-18. Our last Shield win was in 1995-96. It's hardly as if South Australia has saturated the Australian team with South Australians since that time. The board therefore has a duty to address this poor performance. I hear it regularly from our members and other concerned South Australians that we're not doing as well as we should. I think we've turned around, but there's always more to do. For too long, South Australian Premier Cricket has had a bye. Many, if not most, of our community cricketers don't have a bye, yet they're not striving to play for the state nor the country. Potentially, our state cricketers could be dropped and then have 2 weeks' absence before they play a premier game. Is this satisfactory or just convenient to leave it as it is? Last season, Tom Cooper and Tim Ludeman were dropped. I had coffee with Tim Ludeman after he was dropped. He was fine about it. But I said, Tim, you could potentially not be playing cricket for another 3 weeks. You come back and your team's having a bye. What do I do? President, do I send you to Victoria? Where do I send you to play cricket? In my view, that's not good enough. Most would remember that the plan to reduce the number of teams came from an independent report, the Zato report, which in fact said the competition should only have 10 teams. Your board has taken this decision very seriously, and at the moment, and we have no plans to go to 10, we're looking to go to 13 to 12. We're looking at this in the interests of long-term cricket. We understand it's emotional for those in the heartland of Premier Cricket clubs, but sometimes the tough call has to be made for long-term benefits. To that extent, we've offered $500,000, $500,000 to the merged club. I would pose the question, are you acting in the long-term interests of your club if you deny the 12-year-old boy who wants to play in modern $500,000 facilities, or stick with the same facilities that they've had for the last 30 or 40 years? SACA membership numbers for 2015-16 were solid and consistent. However, the SACA board remains focused on providing improved value for your membership subscription. The Village Green proved to be as popular as ever, with many of you enjoying the added entertainment options at the day-night test last November. Just prior to the test match, SACA launched the Avenue of Honour and unveiled the Lynn Fulston lawns. This was a significant event for SACA and heralded the inaugural recognition of a female athlete at Adelaide Oval. In fact, we think it's the first major naming of a female cricketer at an international venue. If it's not the first, it would be very close second. Over the past 12 months, our membership team have been involved in a project to look at our membership offerings. As you would all be aware, we've basically only ever had one tier of SACA membership. I'm pleased to announce that the membership team are working on a new project which will be ready for next season, which will be a premium membership offering. It's only going to be available for around 1,000 to 1,500 people, and whilst it's still being refined, we believe even at this early stage of development it will be a great opportunity for members who want a little bit extra out of their cricketing experience. As you walk through the SACA Avenue of Honour, you're taking a stroll through our history. Recognition of history is an important part of any long-standing sporting organisation, and the SACA is no different. We have a proud history and our collection is extensive. Our only problem is we don't have anywhere to house it. Well, I want to reiterate this evening that SACA is committed to ensuring that a suitable place is found here at the Adelaide Oval to display our collection. Work is underway on this project and we will keep our members updated on the progress. It's the board's intention to leave a legacy for all SACA members in the years and decades ahead. I know David McIntosh is here. and I'd like to acknowledge David's enthusiasm for this project. Can't see him at the moment, but I've seen you here. Good. David has had several meetings with Keith Bradshaw to ensure his dream of a SACA museum continues. That's the beauty of SACA and its members. We all have a passion for cricket, and its history is important. David, I can assure you, your SACA board will back this project through to completion. Park 25. As highlighted last year, we've started to invest in the Park 25 project. Significantly, this is the largest investment into cricket outside of Adelaide Oval. SACA has used Park 25 for about 30 years, and none of the buildings there have been upgraded through that entire period. We use this area for many of our game development and female programs, while we also train our umpires there. The facilities are not at all suitable for families, and they're definitely not at all suitable for female sportspersons. Once the project is completed in 2018, we will have a quality facility for community use that will benefit multiple stakeholders and the long-term sustainability of cricket. I might also add that at a recent Cricket Australia meeting, when we put to them the Park 25 project, that there would be 4 abutting cricket grounds with a pavilion servicing both, or servicing all 4 grounds. In the proximity that we are talking to the Adelaide Oval, no other CBD can really match that. Melbourne does not. Sydney, I don't believe, has. Brisbane, to have that was very exciting to Cricket Australia for the opportunity for carnivals to be held in a city, have 4 grounds where they compete. You can have an under-19s carnival or whatever, and that will be right here in Adelaide at Park 25. Andrew Sweet will outline the financial results for 2015-16 very shortly, but I will add now that a successful financial year has enabled the association to use these funds to benefit cricket in a targeted manner. With that in mind, we're now heading into a new domain, and investment into securing cricket content at Adelaide Oval is crucial. We also need to be mindful of the fact that we need to continue to grow the investment into the game itself. While projects such as Park 25 are important, we want to continue to invest in high performance and game development programs, and I believe we've recently seen the results of that. In December 2015, the cricket community and wider South Australian community were deeply saddened at the passing of long-serving board member John Bannon. John made a massive contribution to South Australian cricket, and the recent development of this oval. Through negotiations of the Adelaide Oval redevelopment and Australian cricket governance reforms, he was always a voice of reason, calm and considered. His unmatched understanding of history will be sorely missed, for no sport can reflect on its current position without knowing what went before. He had enormous knowledge of Australian history, whether from cricket to politics. Now, my apologies to those that were present at the Bradman Medal, but I recounted the story that I heard, or the story that was my direct experience, when I was driving the car some 5 years ago, early morning, 891 radio. The ABC 891 people had John Bannon on, and they wanted to interview him and ask him 5 questions about Australian history. The questions all were around about 1900. I asked the first 4 questions of John Bannon. He was right on all 4. At the end of the 4th, they said, "You don't have to be a smart aleck, John." They gave him the fifth question. He was right with the answer to the 5th question. He wasn't being a smart aleck. He was just being John Bannon, who was wise and knew the answers. John drove various SACA cricket history and museum initiatives, which I spoke about earlier. Those will come to fruition, albeit unfortunately without John in person, but he'll be there in spirit and in the hearts of many SACA members. As I said earlier, the board has a strong resolve to continue John's legacy. Next, I want to acknowledge the retirement of Lauren Ebsery, who across 13 seasons in total, most with South Australia, made a great contribution to women's cricket, particularly in this state. It's fitting that Lauren was able to hold aloft the Women's National Cricket League trophy as a winning captain in her final season. Her leadership was crucial in ending the 21-year drought for the Scorpions, and we wish her all the best for the future. We've also seen changes at the board level too during the recent period. I want to acknowledge Andrew Sincock as a long-standing board member. Andrew has made a significant contribution to cricket in this state. He's a former South Australian Sheffield Shield winning player and won the Premier Cricket's highest individual award in the Bradman Medal. Andrew will also be long remembered as the inaugural, colourful chairman of the Adelaide Strikers in his inimitable fashion, although I use the word fashion with some reservation. But to evil, thank you. In closing, I'd like to thank Keith Bradshaw for his outstanding leadership as Chief Executive of the Association. He's supported by a driven team of staff who continue to deliver outstanding results for cricket and the SACA members. Thank you again to our SACA members for your continued support of the game. We're fortunate to have a large and passionate membership base, the envy of many associations. My predecessor, Ian McLaughlin, made me aware that we are probably, and I believe we are, probably the largest purely cricket association in the world. The MCC has a very large part of its membership that is based around going to AFL football. We are purely cricket. We have a lot to maintain, let alone a lot to build upon. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge the fantastic ongoing support of our sponsors, in particular West End, principal partner of the Adelaide Strikers, West End Redbacks, West End Premier League and West End Premier Cricket. I'd also like to acknowledge Sealy International with Breeze Air's sponsorship of the Scorpions and continued support of women's cricket. Also, Webster's Lawyers, the Adelaide Strikers, WBBL major sponsor and a great supporter also of women's cricket. And with that, thank you very much for your attention. I'll hand over to Keith. Thank you.